Hello world, this is JWP, J Ward Primo Beats, coming to you live from my bedroom. Check out my website at jwpsite.com for social links, latest news and updates, and public offerings. If you'd like to help support what I do, check out my Patreon at JWP Patreon for exclusive content. That's with 2 P's, or my GoFundMe at JWP Fund. I'll be continuing along with a series I'm doing looking at the visual VST/I programming book. When I last left off, I was starting on Reverb, finished delay, looking at Reverb. So, give them some room with Reverb. Perhaps you noticed that when you tweak the 4-tap delays parameters, certain settings invoke diffuse delay patterns reminiscent of Reverb. Though primitive, early digital algorithms relied on similar structures in combination with all-pass filters to simulate diffuse reverbs. So let's briefly recap how Reverb works. Every room or reverberant space reflects sound differently. An impulse is a sudden burst of sound, like an electrical arc or a sharp hand clap, a popping balloon or a gunshot. Figure 2.39 charts a typical room's response to such an impulse. So figure 2.39 of Reverb's impulse response, we see a waveform with a sharp attack and a sudden release. The immediate response is distinct echoes bouncing off walls, called early reflections. The pattern gradually grows more diffuse as amplitude decay. The pattern gradually grows more diffuse as amplitude decays exponentially. Compare this to the impulse response of a comb filter, in essence a delay line with a feedback. Figure 2.40 plots a comb filter's impulse. So we have figure 2.4, a comb filter's impulse response. We see a chart with amplitude on the y-axis and time on the x-axis, and we have lines slowly reducing in size as they head right. Exponentially decaying impulses follow the first impulse. Through this is similar to an exponentially decaying reverb. In the frequency response peak occurs at equally spaced frequencies like the teeth of a comb, hence the name comb filter. This elicits a ringing metallic sound. Digital pioneer Manfred Schroeder proposed using parallel comb filters in combination with all-pass filters or digital reverb. Figure 2.41 is the schematic diagram of an all-pass filter. Figure 2.41, schematic diagram of an all-pass filter. It shows a bunch of lines making sort of a square. They are all angles. The first one's a plus. So it looks like some of the math is negative G on top and G on the bottom. Triangles. And in the middle, there's a small box that says delay. So it looks like something in parallel around delay. However, interpreting technical schematics isn't really my strong suit. An all-pass filter comprises a feedback of feed-forward path, yielding flat response. Nonetheless, it serves to shape transients and simulate diffusion courtesy of its decaying impulse response. Figure 2.42 graphs an all-pass filter's impulse response. So we see figure 2.4 to an all-pass filter's impulse response. We see a chart. It looks like a bilinear chart, meaning that there is a negative space pointing down. There's an arrow pointing up and down with caps on either end. And in the middle, it's heading right. Then we have a bunch of lines poking out. And they are described as T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, T17. The Schroeder, I'm going to ask, can I get out that? Let's ask the wonderful synth voice how to say this name here. Can I? What is it doing? No, stop. Okay. So if I go to what? Why does it always hand? Isn't there tools? It's just always hand. Can I use a different tool? There we go, selector. Okay. So we will say read aloud. Can I do that? What was that? View read out loud. Activate read out loud. And then we'll read out loud. Read this page only.
Chapter 2, Designing Vista Effects in SynthEdit. Chapter 2, Designing Vista Effects in SynthEdit. Figure 2.42, an all-pass filters impulse response. The Schroeder model.
The Schroeder model. That's what the synth voice said. Okay, so now how do I switch back to the hand? Do I really want to switch back to the hand? And I think the synth voice kind of locked it up. Well, at least we know the name.
The Schroeder model.
No, don't start again. Oh, it does.
The Schroeder model. Figure 2. The Schroeder model.
I wish I did that before. Noise. Anyway, deactivate. Read out loud. Okay. Let's get back into full screen here. The Schroeder model. Schroeder proposed a structure with 4 parallel comb filters and 2 serial all-pass filters. The comb filters simulate the reflections, and the all-pass filters add density to the sound by smearing transients and making the reverb more diffuse. Figure 2.43, a Schroeder reverberator. It shows another technical schematic of one line turning into 4 arrows going into 4 boxes that say comb, and then they all converge on a circle with a plus in the middle that is now arrow passing to an all-pass, and then another arrow passing to another all-pass. Below, you see the structure of a Schroeder reverberator in SynthEdit. The input signal feeds into a container holding 4 parallel delay lines wired to 2 serially cascaded all-pass filters. So figure 2.44, the structure of a Schroeder reverberator in SynthEdit. And this is file schroeder1.sc1. So we see an input mod, an IO mod, and that's going directly out to a level 80J. And we have a drive plugged into that level 80J. That's obviously decibel. That's going out to the IO, an IO mod out. That's obviously our dry output. Then we have comb X4 and decay. We have a decay plugged into those. There's 2 of them, so it's making a stereo. Those are plugged into an all pass. And there's actually 4 all passes. They have different values. It says 7, 4, 6, and 5 milliseconds. And those all pass to another level 80J that has its own wet controller decibel level. And those pass out to the output. So I imagine I'm expected to build this now. However, I don't know what's inside these boxes. Figure 2.45, because that's moving on. So let's get into building this first one here, Schroeder one. So I'll start by starting a new project. I'm just going to go ahead and save that as, and I'll dump that. Where do I put these again? You know, I don't even remember where I put everything. Do I throw them on the desktop? SynthEdit for book examples. Okay, so that's no. I can likely find out by opening a previous. Oh, there is no previous one because I've been working on other projects. Oh, there's one. Okay, so it's in way deep in project data here. So I'm just going. It doesn't want to let me just hop on there. So we'll save as not even. Okay, at least I know where it is. Okay, so let's close that off. Let's bring in a new container. And we'll name this Schroeder. I don't really know how to spell that, so I'm just going to copy it. And we'll throw it in here. And that didn't work. Let's try again. Edit text. I just want to copy text. Okay, so it looks like I'm doing it the hard way. S-C-H-R-O. S-C-H-R-O. E-D-E-R. E-D-E-R. We'll call that reverb. However, that's not the file name. Save as. And of course, we got to dig deep here. So bear with me whilst I tunnel into my computer. Maybe it's YouTube. I think it might be YouTube. No. Channel thumbnails. Documentation. Files. Yes. Okay, so chapter 2. This is chapter 3. I guess chapter doesn't really matter. We'll just call this reverb. I'll take those out of there later. And this is Schroeder 1. Small spelling, no D. Right? S-C-H-R-O-E. R-O-E-D-E-R. Okay, so let's get to building it now. In fact, I just did that by accident, right? Because I, in fact, want to start with a, the preset manager and everything. So I do believe this was the final iteration of that last one. So now we're just going to dump that out. And we're going to go save as again. And we're just going to replace this with this. Yes. What is the container called here? Filter? It's not filter. We'll just call it reverb here. And this doesn't really get seen in the end anyway. So reverb. And let's pull a patch automator again so we can reset the presets. There was no presets. Still. Okay, and then let's just get a through happening here. And it's on the wrong side. And I'm just going to have to sort of force it here. We'll use a math. Some divide in and out here. And then we'll label this left and right. And again, left and right. And we'll bring the patch automator back so it sits on the bottom pin. And we're ready to roll. Okay. So looking at this, we start out with just a through. Again, I won't be using a decibel converter. Let's look at the original. In fact, I imagine there's a decibel converter in the original. So we'll save as, and that'll put us in the folder where we want to be. Cancel, and we'll go open, and we can jump to that folder now and grab reverb, Schroeder 1. Okay, now we'll see what's inside these interesting containers here. And in fact, we do have a converter. And what's inside? Comb filter. Delays. Many delays. How is a delay a comb filter? Well then, are they all the same? And why are these times different? This is decay. Okay. Like I said, I'm not sure how a delay turns into a comb filter. I know that it just explained it. However, I was reading and barely paying attention. So let's bring in the container. And this will call this comb X4. Right. It's all one sort of word, no spaces. And then so 4 delays, right? Effects, delay, 4 times. I'll grab a 2 and just copy that again. And we know. Okay, then we want fixed values. And those are going to what? Modulation. Okay, and let's see what these values are. In fact, I gotta unlock it first. And we go properties. And they're just exactly what they say they are. No, this one says 63 milliseconds. However, it's 67 here. Right, so let's start with 52. And name value. Okay, so we want the values here. 67, 71, and 79. On this side, we have 52 milliseconds. I'm not sure why the numbers changed. 63 milliseconds. Not as if the end user can see them anyway. I'm sure they knew what they were doing when they programmed it. We can hope. Okay. There's not even a switch there. So these are all just running all the time, potentially. So let's look at this multiply now. What are we multiplying by? 0.25. So grab the math, multiply, chopping it into a quarter. All of them the same destination. And an output. Then we have signal in and decay. Let's go ahead and bring signal in. And then this goes to feedback, however, it's called decay. All right, let's rename this. And input is in. Let's get the input out. Let's call it signal output. Not sure what's on the prefab here. Yeah, it says signal out. Okay, so that's built and done. Tidy it up a little bit. And this just about got overlooked. This is 0.25. And output. And we'll throw that in the corner. And it's built. All right. So now let's actually get some other stuff built here. This will be our, what's it called? Level ADJ. Level ADJ. There's not even a space in the naming, I don't think. No. Okay, then we'll hop in here, and all we are doing, is adding a modifier level ADJ 2 times. Right. Yeah. And we don't have a decibel converter. We now have a pan though. We still do need a controller in. So this is left, that's right, and a controller. Not sure what it's called here, level. We'll just call it level without the dB. and brackets. So this is left and right and level. Input 1, input 2. That's fine. Now we want an output. Again, left and right. We can actually drag across just to steal the names. And then plug these in, and then we remove these. Just so we don't have to go through the trouble of clicking around. At this point, we'll just tidy it up again. And it's good. It's a level 80J. We want 2 of those. One's wet, one's dry. So we will pass these through now. We no longer need this or this. We do need another comb filter. Oops. And that can go to the signals. And then those go through all passes. What kind of all pass do we have here? That's a lot. That's interesting. There must have never been an all pass. Feedback delayed. Wow. That's how you build an all pass, I guess. They don't really explain this prefab very well in the book. It just kind of throws a prefab at you and just kind of expects you to know what's going on. So we have signal in. We also have 2 all passes. Are they the same? We don't seem to have any. In fact, did I even look at the delay amounts here? Delay time 1 second. I just have to check them all to be certain. I'm not going to check them all. This has to be unlocked in order for me to look at it. This is 0.1 second. Okay. So that's interesting. And they're all like that, 0.1 second. Okay, so let's build this all pass now. It's all one word, so to speak. And get in here, we require inverter feedback to a level 80J, and a delay. Inverter to level 80Js and feedback. Under special feedback volts. Okay. Oh, they're over here already. There's so much going on in such a small space. So signal in goes to level 80J and feedback. Let's start there. This is also called signal in. And the level 80J goes to an out mod on the other side, which is called signal out. And right, and then next up is time, going to modulation. I gotta remember to do, there's no delay yet, missed one. This is 0.1. Okay. And we have time going to the modulation. So this is called time. And then signal out from the delay, or feedback rather. Going into the delay. Signal out to the second ADJ, which is controlled by feedback. Our other level ADJ also going to this ADJ. Inverter from feedback going to our second input here. Is that correct? Yes. And then the second level ADJ back into feedback. Okay, so feel like it may be resolved now. It's a complex web. Can't even really run trace on it. Delay 2 also goes to output. Let's sort of get them lined up as they look here. I think it's done. So that's an all pass. What about feedback? Nothing? It just stays empty. Is it set to anything? Feedback 0. Okay. Set to 0 here. All right. So that is our all pass. Make a second one. I think there's 4 of them, right? Yes. And they just pass into each other. Let's relock these. Get them shrunk down a bit, see what's going on. I'm on the wrong window. Guess I can see what's going on for the most part. I don't know what my phone's going off for. Just wait till I start streaming and starts like, hey, there's stuff happening. Okay. So yeah, they pass directly into each other, and I got this fixed values thing floating around. Let's get that in. Okay, so they go to separate times. Look at these locked. I don't want to lock that one. I want to lock these ones. So I can see what's going on a bit better here. Okay, so yeah, I got this fixed values, and it's going to all the different times. Let's do that. Time and time. What order? Left first, then right. There's no, it's not even guaranteed to say that these are the actual values being represented here. 12, 5, 11, 7. Well, I guess they are. 12, 0.5, 9.1, and 0.7. And they correspond directly. So we'll say 12 ms. So this is 5 ms. 5 ms. 11 ms. And 7 ms. Okay, so that's done. Suppose we can pass the combs into the all passes. And then the all passes to the all passes. Times covered, what does wet do? Wet does just a level. So there's no real control for feedback here. Just stays 0. We just have decay over here. Okay, so let's get some controls happening. Grab the slider and we'll turn that into a knob. And we'll send that to decay. As well, we want another one. And this is our level. Is that what it's called? Dry. So call this dry. And this is wet, which is over here. And left and right. Oops. And that can come out. This also needs to be renamed to wet. Okay, so what is our ranges here? Well, these are different, right? Because this isn't a decibel responder. I think it's automation. It's been a minute. Yeah, this is different. Okay, so this is 0 to 10, which is already there. What about our decay level here? Automation, 0 to 10. So everything's pretty much set. This is called decay. And yeah, what does this look like? Is it just all a pile in the middle? Yeah, it is. That's unfortunate. 7.5. Let's just bring these up to say this one's 10. And this one's 8. And this will be what, 7.5, 7.75. And then we can build our GUI. Okay. So we just have wet, dry, and decay. So I guess we could set them up something like this. Dry on the bottom. Rather wet on the bottom. One space. And decay in the middle. One space. That looks good. Then we can shrink stuff down. However, let's start with up here. And actually, let's start with these. Where'd the other one go? There it is. Grab that. It's down. There should be fine. Grab these and move them down. Not sure where that other one is. Looks like we're overlapping now. One. Oh yeah, we're way overlapping. So this one's over here-ish. Okay, so they're right on top of each other now. Yeah. So now we can get other things shrunken down. A little more. Okay. Of course, one space. And this can come down. Let's center this stuff out. Kind of feels like there should be one more, or it should come up. In fact, because it's so long, I was going to say because it's so long, we could just, kind of keep everything sort of horizontally aligned. However, I prefer something like that. We'll give it the one space, just because everything else is so spacious. There. Still looks like it's too much space. No, it looks like not enough space. Whatever. I almost want to grab it and nudge it. It's good. So this is Schroeder. Schroeder, yeah, that's what it said, right? Everything's super tight. It's quite small of a plugin, which is fine. Let's give it a test run. I didn't remember on the delays, I didn't really do any test running. However, I do feel all these are out of order. However, I do feel I should give this a test run. So let's do an export. This is called Schroeder one, Schroeder Reverb. Do I still have that in? No, I don't have that in thing. Cancel. The file name Schroeder. So let's grab it from there. Let's actually give it a save. We'll save as, and we'll just grab its file name. Cancel and export. And we'll call this Schroeder Reverb. And this will be CSR. Want to use OK, sure. Number of presets, let's go 128. Limit, yeah, everything else looks good. OK, save file, yes. And then we're going to fire up FL Studio. It's already done building. It's going to take a second to find itself. So we'll just continue along here. And we'll refresh the menu here. Okay, and then we'll move on to part 2 because this is going to take a moment to find that plugin. So, it does start to explain it. Okay, so figure 2.45 outlines the 4 comb filters. In this structure, delay 2 modules serve as a comb filter with delay times of 52, 63, 79, and 83 milliseconds. Though seemingly random, textbook reverb designs call for these values to be mutually prime numbers. The comb filter's length determines the simulated room size. Moore suggested using linearly distributed values over a ratio of 1 to 1.5, different delay values color reverb in different ways, so fine-tune these delay times manually. Changing the length of just one comb filter can have a tremendous impact on the reverb's overall sound. The multiply module divides the result by the number of comb filters so the reverb and dry signal are equal. Figure 2.45, the structure of the comb filter container. So figure 2.45, we see the delay line I set up recently. It's an in-out mod. The IO mod has a signal in and decay that all the decays follow into 4 delay 2 modules into the feedbacks. Then there's a fixed value block with 4 outputs, 52 milliseconds, 63 milliseconds, 79 milliseconds, 83 milliseconds. Those all point to modulations consecutively in the 4 delays. The 4 delays then converge on a multiply. In the top input, I imagine the bottom input is 0.25, which outputs to the final IO mod. And yeah, let's check what's still looking for it. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's check out this cool reverb. I'm not sure what's going on with my input output. Of course, those in some of my other streaming sources won't be able to hear it because, and that thing still, I thought I turned that off. I apologize for that. Might as well have just left it off there. There's no way I'm restarting the stream, so it's just the way it is. I gotta make different scenes. Anyway, let me bring in maybe something a little more interesting. Well, I need something dry though, right? I do have morphine now, which is more of a standard instrument, right? I'm not typing the keyboard. Is that coming through stream? It is. However, it's not going out through my microphone. And what do we got for presets? Let's get something like a piano here. This is really generally pretty good for pianos. Something grand, maybe. Generic keys. Cryogenic keys. Keyboard, butter organ. Synth one. A whirly. Let's go to whirly. There's already a reverb, so let's cut this reverb. Turn it up for myself. No, it's a little bit loud. What key am I in here? Let's go E minor, sure, whatever. Okay, and bring in the reverb somewhere. Should be under the S, yes. Toss it in, hopefully it works, right? Turn off the dry. That's good. Using FL as seal. And it's as trim as it's going to get, but I'm still getting 60 milliseconds. Turn up the decay. Wow. This goes on forever. Very low. Even at very low, we still get sort of a bit of a plate sound. About 0. A bit of a plate sound. Okay, let's bring in the dry and no wet. Okay, so let's jump back to about 5 and wet 10, dry 8. So it's not like I can control the room size, it doesn't feel like. I guess it is kind of the room size, eh? So it sounds like a tunnel. All right, so get up out of there. It's effective. I didn't actually check the CPU usage. It's looking pretty negligible. Yeah, morphine's working harder. I got it up to a 7 there. Let's try the decay. I'll turn down the wet. Oh, it's got to have a little bit of bleed, right? That's not bad. It's quite conservative. Then again, it is only a few small functions. Okay. On to the next part. The reverb time is defined as the time for the level to drop from the initial value to -60. Schroeder's equation for calculating a comb filter's time goes like this. Time equals 60 over -20 log pipe. Log pipe G pipe. Small time, -3 over log pipe G pipe equals R. Times time. G denotes feedback level and small t delay length. Here's how to calculate the feedback level for the given delay time and total time reverb. So G equals, I don't know what that symbol means, plus underscore E times 3 time over time. Yeah. Take, for example, 52, 63, 79, and 83, and 1 second total reverb length. This yields, is it plus or negative? Plus or equal? 8.25, 827, 78, and 7795. So this is why those numbers are different. No, they're the same. No, they're not. I'm not sure. For feedback levels, the structure above is simplified with the same feedback level for all delay times. Through this makes it easier to control reverb time. On the downside, comb filters with longer delay are slower to fade. Jazarf Reverb employs this method, with satisfying results. Setting feedback to a value of 1, decay to volts 10 elicits infinite reverb. Figure 2.6 shows the all-pass filter structure. It is the SynthEdit equivalent of the all-pass scheme in figure 2.38. A feedback delayed module feeds a delay module's output back to its input and adds the inverted and scaled input signal to the delay 2 module's output signal, leading it to all-pass characteristics. The inverter module changes the signal's charge. The all-pass filter smears the transients in the reverb, creating a diffuse sound. The longer the delays, the more diffuse the reverb. True enough, but Moore recommends some 6 milliseconds for the all-passes delay time because longer delays produce audible reiterations. The left and right channels' delayed times differ, yielding a stereo effect. If the input signal is mono or the input's stereo width is irrelevant, you can convert the 2 channels to mono by averaging. Then only one comb X4 filter structure feeding both left and right all-pass filters yields the same results for mono signals, with the benefit of a lighter CPU load. That was pretty technical. I'm not sure, that kind of went whoosh for me a little bit. Okay, 2.46, an all-pass filter in all its glory. So we see an I/O mod with 3 inputs, signal in, time, feedback, and there's an inverter and level adjuster, which goes to the output, feedback, delayed module, delay 2 module, and a level adjuster. This is so intertwined and twisting that it's near impossible to describe. So, heads up, conserve CPU resources by using Rev all-pass modules. They consume only about a third of the processing power devoured by this all-pass structure. Go to files, Schroeder.sc1. Go reverb, Schroeder.sc1. There's another Schroeder file. Let's take a look at that. However, I won't be swapping it out. Go reverb. What? I don't see go reverb optimization, maybe? No? No, I don't see this file, go reverb. Go to files, go reverb. Schroeder.sc1. Okay, so I don't know what's going on there. It's more than likely just a reverb with the Rev all pass modules. As I was saying, I'm not going to be replacing these all passes if our SynthEdit now has its own all pass. So yeah. However, it's difficult to control like these time values and stuff. I imagine all you'd have to do is really just put an all pass on it and it would probably smear the transients. But a lot of times you have to target the harmonic. It's a whole lot of more technical stuff. Onto the Mora model. You can across James Moore's name earlier in the book, or you came across James Moore's name earlier in the book. He improved Schroeder's model, which suffers the drawback of a metallic sound. Moore suggests using a low-pass filter in the comb filter's feedback path to simulate high-frequency dampening. He also simulated early reflections using tap delay lines. Moore's model employs 6 parallel comb filters with just one all-pass filter. Figure 2.47 outlines its schematic. So figure 2.47, the Moore model, it shows again a picture of a input arrow into 6 combs, and they all converge on a plus with a circle around it, moving into one all pass, then moving out. Each comb filter's feedback loop sports one pole low pass filter as shown in figure 2.48. Figure 2.48, a comb filter with a low pass filter in the feedback loop. So figure 2.48 shows an IO mod with 4 inputs rather. Signal in feedback LP pitch modulation. Signal in goes to a feedback module, which in turn goes to a one pole low pass and then into delay 2 and out. And then there's a level ADJ, which loops back to the feedback module. And it appears to be controlled by the feedback input. LP pitch goes to the one pole L pass pitch, and modulation goes to delay modulation. This structure is similar to our cross delay. Here, the one pole filters are set to 1 volt per kilohertz. Called delay 3 in the prefab, a comb X6 container holds 6 of these in parallel array. Figure 2.49 depicts the main structure. Divide the dampening knob's output by 100 to slow the dampening frequency in hertz. So we have a figure 2.49, Moore's remarkable reverberator. And that's file Moore1.se1. So we have an input similar to the previous, the whole system is similar to the previous reverb. However, we now only have one set of all passes. We have less fixed values plugged into the all passes. And we now have a dampening knob instead of a decay. Actually, we still have decay. We have a dampening knob. Looks like it's connecting to the low pass pitches inside of the combs. This prefab employs delay times by Moore, 50, 53, 61, 68, 72, and 78. To simulate different room sizes, scale these values using level ADJ modules. Check out Moore 2, in which the size parameter scales all delay times. To avoid conjuring a ringing metallic sound, limit the size parameter to at least 1 volt. Okay, so let's take a look at Moore 1. Reverb, Moore 1. No save changes. And we will save Schroeder 1 and now as Moore 1. I believe that's with 2 R's, M-O-R-E-R. Moore. M-O-O-R-E-R. 1. Okay, then we can start building from here. So we pull out a set of all passes. And we can now reconnect that to the level ADJ. We have a new dot knob called dampening. Let's call that dampening. Damping. And now we got to upgrade our comb filters here. So what are the values here? Is it properties, right? No? Oh. There's the deeper delay now. Okay. So we have a whole brand new delay, which is a prefab, and which is in the comb, right? Okay, comb 6. So let's knock out these delays here. And I just lost all my values. That's fine, I suppose. I'll make a new container called delay 3. And we'll hop in there. And inside we have feedback, low pass, delay, and level adjust. Feedback. Filter, low pass. Effects, delay, and modifiers, level adjust. Okay. Signal in to feedback. Signal in. And feedback to, that's locked, right? Feedback to the one pole low pass. And the one pole low pass to the delay. The delay to the level adjust and output. So we need the signal out. And the level adjust looping back to the feedback. Level adjust to the out? No, delay 2 to the out. So let's pull this. Level adjust, delay to the out. Okay. Then next up we have feedback going to the level adjust. Let's call this feedback. And low pass pitch, or LP pitch. And modulation to delay. So what is the properties here? Modulation 0, delay time 1, which is already set. Right, I do believe that's already done then. Everything's ready. Yeah, it looks right. Let's tidy it up a bit, I suppose. Can I tidy something like this up? It's as tidy as it's going to get. And of course, our pins are out of order. I want to fix that. Could just pull this, right? And then put it back. And then that pin will now be on the bottom. Yes. Okay. So now I want 6 of these. Let's spread things around here. Just want to make sure none of them are plugged into each other, which I don't believe they are. Can lock this again. All right. So I want 6 of them. So copy paste, and then we'll just do one more. We can copy paste that once. Get things lined up. And for starters, we'll copy these fixed values, which are all going into modulation. And I guess it doesn't really matter the order since they're all converging. However, we'll try to keep it in order here. Let's be in order something like this. Right. Okay. And our times, looking at our times, seem to coincide properly. Last time they didn't really. And they're all double digit, right? 0 point. Okay. So let's go ahead and start plugging those numbers in. So the values 0.50, rather 0.5, 0.56, 0.61. I suppose I could be moving along as well. So 68 milliseconds, 0.68, 72 milliseconds, 0.72, 0.78 milliseconds, 0.78. All right, start from the top again, 50 milliseconds, 56 milliseconds, 61 milliseconds. Okay. So then, coming in, we just have a signal going everywhere. Put signal traveling to all of us, the delays. And the K is going to, it's like feedback. Oops, of course. Let's get that one out of there. And then LP pitch is going to LP pitch. And modulation is already filled. I want to reset these pins. I do need to figure out what the multiply is. I'm not sure what a division of 6 would be. 0.16 repeated. It's divided by what? 1 divided by 6? Yes, let's copy that. And toss that in here. Except we don't need that many 6s, so we'll go 6 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 6 places. And then these all come out through here. So earlier I thought I could have to decide which one was being used. However, I guess they all get used. I guess I could tidy it up a little bit. As usual, there's probably not too much that can be tidied. Let's actually move things down a bit, back to the corner. Then we're going to put this other box on top here. It's more of an input than it is an output. It's a little too tight, as if it really matters. As clean as it's gonna get. This is now comb X6. And these pins are out of order. Did I not? I guess I didn't. Oh, because they're connected to something. Okay, so let's drop that. Also drop this. And plug this out. This is signal out now. And copy that. Okay. What's my phone going off crazy about? Nothing. Okay, and damping. This is probably gonna reset this down here, which is fine, I guess. Is that it? What is my damping range here? 20,000. I gotta do automation. 22,000. Okay. Oh, you know what? All those pitch. Oh, I'm gonna have to manually do this. It's 1 kilohertz, right? Just a little bit of monotony. Okay. I'll set the kilohertz now, just double checking the first one and sample the fourth. Okay. And then I can delete this one, copy this one. Hopefully that's the right one. 1 volt, it was the wrong one. Always got to check things like this. So in other words, I could have just copied and pasted, but because I deleted the wrong one, I'm redoing it. I figured it was on the top one. Okay. And again, I'm going to sample probably 3 kilohertz, and we'll do the last one. Kilohertz here. All right. Copy, paste, and then decay, damping. Of course, this goes up to 22,000. I guess at least it'll keep it out of the way, right? And this is set default to 1,000. And signal in, signal out. So I don't know about the L pass. The L pass is the same as well. Didn't the book say that I'm supposed to limit something? Divide the dampening outputs knob by 100. Okay, didn't do that either. So multiply by 0.001. A lot of small steps. Important small steps. Okay. Dampen. Here's another prefab shows values to simulate room scale the values using level 80J. I also have to plug in the fixed values there. So the all pass needs different values. I'm not sure if it's the same. Check out 2 and which size parameter. To avoid conjuring or ring metallics, limit the size parameter to at least. Okay, so it looks like more 2 has a size knob. This is talking probably about this late level 80J. Scale the values using a level 80J. All right. So I still require fixed values here. These values are 7 and 6. Notice that before it was a different number there. Did I do that wrong last time. No saving changes. This. No, that's right. 1.1. Okay. I was just worried that those were in the wrong spots. That's fine. 6 and 7 now. I guess it makes sense. It would be 0, right? 0, 7, 0, 6. Let's go back 2 more. Yeah, that makes sense. Those are already plugged into time. All pass looks the same. Let's check the delay anyway. I'm going to unlock it. Okay, 0.1, which it already is. Yes. Pass through. And that's it. Dry wet. Pretty much everything else is the same. Dampening is scaled. Got the 6 multiple with 6 comb filters. Okay, so we now have damping. We'll just stick that here. You know, it feels unbalanced. Let's move things over a bit. Okay, and reverb. It's already saved as more. Save it again, export again. Call this more. And more reverb or MR. Go ahead and build that. Save file first, yes. And we'll begin to look at the second one here. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have get described. Doesn't look like we're getting any description of more 2, which likely has, rather we don't have a picture of it. So it likely just has the level 80J and a limitation on the size parameter. So let's go ahead and just open that up here. Okay, so that's not in the buffers. We'll save as. We'll grab this so that we can open from that folder. 2. So yeah, there's no description, no image of it. Let's check this out. It's supposed to have a size control here, which goes to level 80J, which sits in front of the size and parameters. And it doesn't look like it's limited. Everything's really big. That doesn't help. Automation to 10. Oh, 1 to 10. Okay, so low end 1. Shrink this window, I think. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so jumping back in here, let's save this as 2. And check what FL Studio. I did do a quick scan. Get the more reverb in. And we'll perhaps check out a different preset here instead of the whirly. Let's go with, I just want a regular piano. I thought this one was really good at pianos, yet I can't seem to find one. There's a lot of electric pianos. Bass, brass, lead, pads, percussion, strings, synthetic maybe? These are all synth leads and stuff. Leads. Interesting leads. There's just no regular piano. I thought there was regular pianos. I guess I thought wrong, huh? Let's check out this cool trumpet. It feels very kind of stiff, but it does sound a little bit more realistic. Strings, perhaps a cello. There's already a reverb on it, that's why. Here's with it off. Let's change the key to, let's say, G major. Let's turn it back on. Sounds more of like a hall. Let's give it some wet, some super decay. Very warm. And let's kill all the damping. That's totally damp, right? I guess no reverb whatsoever. This feels like it changes it's like the type of room. We got like a really small room now. Let's just like put it in the pocket. I'm gonna turn up decay all the way. There's barely anything there. Let's try maybe 300. So it's like a kind of really small tube. Not much else going on there. Let's look at size, I suppose. So let's go ahead and pull this out. And we'll get that size happening. So let's break out the comb filters again, or the delay 3. And before cutting all these values, I'm going to install the level 80Js first, because if I start unplugging, I'm going to lose my values. Okay, so just get things lined up a little more neater and more neatly. The proper grammar is there. So we want to make sure to hold on to these values. And then into modulation. Perhaps we can cut modulation first, as we see we're getting some overlap. Okay, then we'll plug in modulation. Okay, and then because these are inputs, we can line them up. So on top. And all these guys underneath that. I didn't even consider that. Well, we can cheat a little bit here. These are now not plugged in directly, so it's still clean. And we still need, in fact, can't remember the word size. This is called size. And that's not the right way I want to type that. We bring in a new knob, we'll call it size, with a bottom of 1 and a top of 10. Rather 1 10. The default of say 5, I suppose. Well, default of 1, because those are the default values, right? So we're making it bigger, never smaller. So we'll go ahead and we'll containerize this just so it's easier to patch in this stuff. Signal in, decay, low pitch, and now we have the size and signal out. We can delete this one. And we can plug in size, which is here. So not called dampening. It's called size. And then we can uncontainerize this. Okay. Everything's connected. Is there any modifiers for size? No. Just go straight in, eh? Alright, so this is shoulder 2. Let's go ahead and build that, or more or 2 rather. And export. Call this more reverb 2. Could call it plus, but whatever. Save, okay, save file first. Yeah, go ahead. And it's not overwriting this other one, so nothing to worry about. Let's check out a preset here. Let's check out some of this lead stuff, I guess. Let's go with dirty, dark, dirty, dark and dirty. Turn off reverb equalizer. We'll keep equalizer on. Play off, of course, off. Maybe not. Let's try something else. Pulse width modulation. It's really, really sharp. I guess I could just turn it down, right? It's going to sound pretty plain now. And I do still have to rescan for it, so. Good to know facts about reverb. Though many reverb plugins employ the Schroeder-Moore model, ours is of the simple sort. It simulates neither early reflections nor escalating density. So do this to improve it. Use individual delay taps with varying amplitude to simulate early reflections, then feed them into the comb all-pass structure. Use reverb algorithms that mix left and right input channel, adding about 25% each channel to the other. This emulates natural occurring blending. Moore holds that more than 6 comb filters or more than 1 all-pass filter do not improve auto quality markedly. Some reverbs beg to differ. A case in point is the oft reused JWP reverb code sporting 8 parallel comb filters and 4 serial all-pass filters per channel. Throwing in a high-pass filter to simulate low-frequency dampening. Apply equalization to shape the reverb sound. If you hang with having less control over the sound, try using third-party reverb modules based on the JWP reverb code, such as DH Reverb, UD Reverb, EVM Rev 8, EVM Rev 12 modules. So I won't be doing any of this. Perhaps in some sort of deployment pack I might, I will not. Here, the presets will be available on my Patreon, and I will not be continuing into delay effects, flinger, and chorus today. Those will be happening at a later time. However, I will be checking out the more 2 reverb. And I forgot to set my size control up. Let's head back to SynthEdit here, and I will line this up a bit. We'll put dampening on top and size on the bottom. The GUI looks a little unbalanced now as well. We have this hangover, which is fine. Okay, we'll save and export. Okay. Okay. Bring it back in. It's funny, I didn't hear any difference. increase the size. Drop the dry a bit. Wet all the way up. Let's crank the decay. Ooh, that's an interesting sound. It's like a giant room squishing down. I like that. That's interesting. Let's check out a higher dampening. Lower dampening. Oh, I gotta be over here. Okay, higher dampening now. I'll go with 5,000. So we're gonna get lots of like ringiness. That's really cool. I like that. Oops. Try 9. I'll go 9.8. That should give it like a really tight high reverb, but it'll stop. It's changing the pitch, right? I can't stop it. Nothing can stop it. All right, so that's the end of this video. Check out my website, jwpsite.com, for my social links, latest news and updates, and public offerings. If you'd like to help support what I do, check out my Patreon, JWP Patreon with 2 Ps. Also exclusive content there. Or my GoFundMe, JWP Fund. If you're watching this on YouTube, a like, follow, and comment are appreciated. So thanks for watching. Until next time.